My wife excused cheating with my best friend while her family mocked me. So I took revenge, exposed their lies, won custody, and left them with nothing. 5 days ago, I stood at the kitchen counter, my daughter Belle's iPad in hand, reading a group chat I was never meant to see. My wife, Willow, her sister Lucy, and their mother, Aurora, had named it family only. The messages stretched back months, even years, mocking me. "He's just a pushover," Willow wrote. "He won't do anything," Lucy added with a laugh emoji. "Drain his savings while you can," Aurora advised. "He'll never stand up for himself." They ridiculed me for turning down a promotion to spend more time with Belle. They joked about my trust, how I never questioned Willow's house renovations, which were really spa weekends, shopping sprees, or, worse, affairs. But what truly stung wasn't the money. It was the contempt, the callousness, the quiet, insidious evil that turned every one of my sacrifices into an inside joke. Right then, it should have been enough for me to file for divorce, to call a lawyer and wash my hands of them. But something in me snapped. I realized I wasn't just going to leave. I needed to show them what it meant to shatter a man's faith and then assume he'd stay tame. For as long as I can remember, I'd been the nice guy, the gentle father, the trusting husband. They'd never once stopped to wonder what would happen if that quiet, obliging man discovered real rage. That night, as Willow slept, I stared at the ceiling, numb from betrayal. My heart hammered, my fists clenched, my chest burned with an unfamiliar darkness. I thought about Belle, my only tether to decency, and realized that, no matter what happened, I had to protect her. I had to ensure she'd never be used as a pawn in Willow's schemes or Aurora's manipulations. I had to make them all regret every smug, self-satisfied message in that family-only chat. 2 days later, my daughter asked, "Daddy, why does Mommy's friend come over when you're not home?" I paused, phone in hand. "What friend is that, sweetheart?" "The tall man," Belle said. "He has a ring just like yours and Mommy's. He comes when you're at work. He always brings Mom coffee, and they talk in her room. Sometimes they laugh. I heard Mommy call him Theo or something like that." Theo. The name clicked instantly. Theo Ross, my longtime best friend. We'd grown up together. He'd introduced me to Willow at a birthday barbecue for Lucy. He was always around, always laughing. I suddenly remembered the way Willow used to watch him, the subtle shift in her posture when he arrived at our gatherings. Before, I'd never questioned it. But now the puzzle pieces slotted together. Willow was cheating with my best friend. A cold, black tide rose in my gut. After Belle ran off to watch cartoons, I placed a small motion-activated camera in the living room, its lens hidden behind a vase. Willow, too confident in my obliviousness, never noticed. The next day at noon, my phone buzzed while I was supposedly at work. Theo's silver truck pulled up. He let himself in, grinning. The footage showed them kissing in the foyer, curtains wide open. He wore his wedding ring, a cruel reminder of his own marriage to Naomi. For 2 hours, they stayed in my bedroom. Then he walked out, straightened his shirt, and left. I didn't yell, didn't cry, just stared at the screen, feeling something dark coil inside me. My lawyer had called it financial abuse. Now it was adultery and betrayal by my best friend. That night, I overheard Willow on the phone with Aurora. "He's never going to confront me," she laughed. "We'll finalize everything next week. Once we get his bonus, I'll serve him the papers and take the house." "What's he going to do, Cry?" My chest tightened, but her arrogance became the match igniting my rage. No more silence, no more compliance. I would wait, let them push further, then show them what I was truly capable of. My patience would be my last kindness. When I met with my lawyer, Miss Phillips, I laid everything out, the screenshots, the camera footage, the text logs. She examined each piece, eyes growing wide. "You have a rock-solid case for divorce, potential for criminal charges," she said. "I need time to sort it all, but, Colton, this is serious. They're systematically robbing you." "I don't just want them to stop," I replied, my voice deeper than usual, harsher. "I want them to pay, every one of them." Miss Phillips gave me a careful look. "Stay within the law, Colton. I see you're angry, you have every right, but keep your head on straight." I left her office with the kind of calm that comes before a thunderstorm. I wasn't going to do anything illegal. I was going to do everything, just within the boundaries. But my confrontation with Theo wouldn't be anything a lawyer could sanitize. I was done letting them presume my kindness equaled weakness. Aurora's big family dinner loomed. Willow, Lucy, Aurora, and anyone considered an extension of their clan would be there. It was their monthly ritual to gather, gossip, and keep up appearances. I decided to attend, with an elaborate plan in mind. I arranged for Belle to stay with a friend that night. I wanted her far away from what might happen. My internal debate was how best to expose them, all of them, when the perfect scenario presented itself. Lucy's husband, Grant, found me at the grocery store and asked, "You coming to the dinner, man?" His tone was polite, but behind his words was an edge. I wondered how much he knew about Lucy's involvement in stealing from me. Did he know she was funneling my money into hidden accounts? "Yes," I said, managing a small smile. "Wouldn't miss it." Grant studied me a moment, then offered a forced laugh. "See you there, buddy." He had no idea what was coming, neither did the rest of them. Saturday night, I arrived at Aurora's sprawling house, a place that always screamed wealth but only delivered pretense. Tall hedges, pristine driveway, white columns, but behind the polished facade lay rot and lies. Lucy greeted me at the door. "Oh, Colton," she cooed, wearing a too bright smile. "I'm so glad you could make it. Willow's inside helping Mom with the roast. It's going to be wonderful." I nodded, looking forward to it. Inside, Aurora and Willow were flitting around the kitchen. Aurora had that matriarchal posture, shoulders back, chin up, as though she were a reigning queen. Willow wore a summery dress, cheeks flushed as though she had been working hard, but she hadn't worked an honest day in years, not since she discovered she could manipulate me for money. "Colton," Willow said, adopting a silky tone. "Sweet of you to come right after shift. Why don't you sit in the living room? Lucy will bring you something to drink." I forced a calm smile and accepted a glass of iced tea from Lucy, ignoring the dagger-like glances she and her mother exchanged, as if they were orchestrating some elaborate scheme. As we all gathered around the massive dining table, Aurora took charge. "Let's go around and share some highlights of our week," she said. "Willow, darling, why don't you start?" Willow tossed her hair. "Oh, I've been prepping the final details of my business venture. I was going to keep it under wraps, but I can't resist sharing. It's going to bring in substantial revenue." She placed a hand on my arm. "I'm counting on my wonderful husband to support me." Arrogance laced every syllable. They thought they had me cornered, a docile spouse, a pliable wallet. They didn't know I had cameras, bank statements, and piles of evidence stacked neatly in Miss Phillips's office, ready to detonate in divorce court. But the dinner wasn't just about exposing them. I wanted something else, too. The raw confrontation, the chance for them to see me, to realize their illusions about me were done. A doorbell interrupted the conversation. Before Lucy could rise, I calmly stood. "I'll get it." Opening the door, I found a courier I'd hired, holding manila envelopes. I gave him a polite nod, and he vanished. The family stared, perplexed, as I entered with those envelopes, each labeled with someone's name. My heart hammered. I could feel the blood roaring in my ears, but outwardly, I was serene. Before dessert, I said, "I'd like to share something with everyone." I placed the envelopes by each plate. "What's this about?" Aurora demanded, eyes narrowing. "Go ahead," I said. "Open them." They did, one by one. Gasps, curses, and wide-eyed horror spread around the table. Willow's face turned white. Lucy's mouth literally fell open. Aurora's lips thinned into a taut, bloodless line. Even Grant, Lucy's husband, looked shaken, flipping through page after page of logs, statements, screenshots, and photos. It was all there. Bank statements showing tens of thousands siphoned from my personal accounts, allegedly for home renovations. Screen captures from the family-only chat mocking me, strategizing how to bleed me dry. Images of Theo arriving at my home on days I was out working time-stamped dated correspondences between Lucy and Willow about the divorce plan once they secured my annual bonus, Aurora's emails orchestrating these manipulations for maximum gain. "What the hell is this?" Lucy hissed, her voice trembling. Willow's eyes brimmed with panic. "Colton, why would you do this? This is private." "Stealing from me was also private," I said, my voice resonating in the hush. "Cheating with my best friend was, I suppose, your business too. But you made it mine when you made a fool out of me." Aurora thumped the table. "You had no right." "I had every right," I countered, leaning forward, glaring at the woman who taught my wife how to con me. "You think you can rob me blind and degrade me behind my back?" "I do have a right to gather evidence, Aurora, and I did, thoroughly." Across the table, Grant looked like someone had punched him in the stomach. "Lucy, are these bank logs for our account?" Lucy shrank back, stammering. "Grant, honey, it's not what it looks like. You're funneling his money, my money." He held up a page. "You took out a second mortgage on our home." Lucy didn't answer. She stared at me, face twisted. "You bastard," she whispered. "You've ruined everything." "No, Lucy," I said quietly, "you ruined everything. I just made sure you wouldn't get away with it." Suddenly, from the foyer came the ring of the doorbell again. My blood turned to ice. Another uninvited guest. Part of me already knew who it might be. I'd half expected him to show, though I hadn't invited him. Willow jumped to her feet, hastily smoothing her dress. "I'll get it," she stammered. I followed her, the entire family trailing behind. As Willow flung open the door, there stood Theo Ross, looking uncertain but determined. He wore a black leather jacket, hair disheveled, and on his face was an expression that wavered between guilt and defiance. "Willow," he said softly, "I wanted to talk." He caught sight of me over her shoulder, eyes widening. "Colton," he said, swallowing. "Look, man, I know how this looks. I felt an electric jolt of fury. That was my best friend." His voice was so familiar, so loaded with memories. Camping trips, high school pranks, best man speeches, all turned toxic. My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. "Why are you here, Theo?" I asked, my tone deceptively calm. He glanced at Willow. I came to manipulate me further," my voice rose. "To waltz into my home again while I'm away?" A flicker of panic crossed his face. "Look, it's complicated," Willow said. "You two were basically separated. Don't you dare lie," I snarled. "I've got footage of you in my bedroom while I was at work. My daughter asked me why Mommy's friend keeps visiting." He turned pale. "Colton, please, you have to understand." "Stop," I barked, stepping forward, ignoring the frantic shrieks from Willow. "There's nothing to understand but your betrayal. The old me, the pushover, would have tried to reason or walk away. But that quiet, compliant man had snapped the moment I saw my so-called best friend with his hands around my wife in my own home." My fists tightened. Theo realized too late what was about to happen. He raised his hands as if to placate me, but I lunged, driving my shoulder into his gut and slamming him backward into the doorframe. The crack of wood echoed through the house. Lucy screamed. Aurora yelled, "Stop this madness!" But I wasn't listening. I grabbed a handful of Theo's jacket and swung a wild punch that connected with his jaw. The pain in my knuckles flared, but it felt good, almost too good. Theo stumbled, and I advanced, hooking a second blow across his face. He tried to regain balance, stepping sideways off the threshold and onto the front porch. "Colton, this is insane. It's justice," I hissed, heart pounding. "All those times you shook my hand, smiling, while you went behind my back. Did you think I'd just lie down and take it forever?" He attempted to grab my arm, but I twisted away and delivered a hard kick to the back of his knee. He collapsed, cursing. I stood over him, chest heaving. Willow shrieked, "Stop! You're going to kill him." "Funny," I growled, glaring at her. "You never worried about me, only him." My entire body shook with adrenaline. Theo coughed, spitting blood onto the porch. It wasn't enough to quell my wrath. Images of him smiling at barbecues, making jokes at my expense while sleeping with my wife flooded my mind. I bent down, grabbing a fistful of his hair. "You're done," I whispered, voice trembling with fury. "You hear me? Done." Before I could land another blow, I felt strong arms clamp around my chest, Grant and someone else pulling me off. "Colton, that's enough," Grant panted. "He's not worth it, man." Theo struggled to stand, leaning against the porch rail, blood trickling from his mouth. His eyes shone with terror. He'd never seen me like this. None of them had. I let Grant and the others drag me back inside, my breath coming in ragged gasps. Willow rushed to Theo's side, ignoring the meltdown of her mother and sister. Aurora was shouting about calling the police. "Call them," I spat. "We'll see how they like the evidence I've collected on your entire family. Go ahead, Aurora." She froze, phone half raised. "You're threatening us?" "Threatening?" I let out a bitter laugh. "No, just stating a fact. If you call the police, you'll all face a tsunami of charges for fraud, theft, conspiracy, maybe more. I'll be arrested for assault, sure, but at least I'll know every dirty secret of yours is on the record. And I promise I'll walk out of that station far quicker than you'll wiggle your way out of your charges." For a long moment, no one moved. Lucy collapsed onto a chair, face in her hands. Aurora glared but said nothing, phone dropping to her side. The only sound was Willow sobbing by Theo's side as he wiped blood from his split lip. Grant, exasperated, rubbed his face. "This is insane. Lucy, did you really conspire with them to steal money from Colton?" She nodded tearfully, then spat at me in sudden rage. "You didn't have to do this publicly. Couldn't you just leave quietly?" "Why should I?" I shot back, gesturing wildly. "Why should I go quietly after what you all did? It was never enough just to cheat me out of money, was it? You had to degrade me, laugh at me, call me a pushover in your private chat. Did you ever consider what happens when a so-called pushover pushes back?" Silence. Even Aurora, normally brimming with snide remarks, said nothing. The air crackled with tension as the entire foundation of their manipulative little world caved in. Willow helped Theo wobble inside and sank him onto the sofa. He avoided my gaze, gingerly feeling his swollen cheek. She turned toward me, tears streaking her face. "Colton, I'm sorry," she whispered, voice shaky. "It just happened." Theo was there, and you—" She swallowed hard. "You've always been distant. I felt alone in the marriage. Don't you dare blame this on me," I hissed. "When you needed money, I gave it. When you needed time, I gave that too. I gave you everything, Willow, and you all mocked me for it. You planned this." A flash of anger lit her eyes. "Fine, you know what? Yes, we mocked you. You were too stupid to see it. But you weren't supposed to become this monster." "Monster?" I barked, a hollow laugh escaping me. "You forged that monster yourself, Willow. You think I wanted to do any of this? I had no choice. You threw me to the wolves, so I became one." Her body shook with rage and despair. "You'll never win custody of Belle," she spat. "A violent father hitting people? No judge would trust you." I let that sit, then calmly reached into my pocket. My phone screen displayed the text she and Aurora had exchanged about setting me up for a violent outburst so they could claim abuse in divorce court. But I had timestamps for that too, plus a dozen recordings of her financial misdeeds, plus footage of her hooking up with Theo. "You're going to lose everything," I said, "and if you try using Belle as a bargaining chip, I'll bury you in legal actions." My voice dropped to a trembling murmur. "Don't you dare, Willow." Her face fell, and for the first time I saw fear that ran deeper than the immediate confrontation. She realized the protective father was about to become her worst nightmare in a custody battle. No one touched the roast Aurora had prepared. Instead, we all stood or sat in that cavernous living room, accusations and grief swirling. Theo just stared at the floor, occasionally wincing, blood dripping onto his jacket. Lucy kept sobbing. Aurora's face was grim, her carefully composed facade ruined. Finally, Aurora cleared her throat, voice trembling with forced composure. "Let's everyone calm down. Colton, perhaps we can discuss terms. We're all family, after all." "Not anymore," I said, unwavering. "I won't settle this privately. You've left me no choice." Grant stared at Lucy. "I can't believe you did this. Our finances, our life, for this scam." Lucy looked helpless. "Mom said it was guaranteed. Willow said you'd never even know. She broke down, tears streaming, but I felt no pity. Her tears were for being caught, not remorse for the harm inflicted. Aurora rubbed her temples, eyes flitting to me. "There must be a way out. We can repay you, apologize." "Repay me with what?" I demanded. "The money you spent is gone. I see no apology forthcoming that isn't laced with more lies." Her lips pressed tight. I cut her off. "Here's what's going to happen. I've already filed for divorce. The court documents are done. You'll be served soon enough. All I need now is to ensure Belle's best interests. As for the fraud, that's a separate matter. My attorney is preparing to file criminal charges. Your family-only group chat will be a delightful highlight for the prosecution, especially the parts about forging my signature and stealing my funds." Aurora's cheeks flushed. "You would send the mother of your child to prison. You are a monster." "She's the one who dragged herself there," I said coolly, "but maybe a plea bargain is possible. You'll have to talk to your lawyers." Lucy clutched at her stomach, looking ill. "What about me?" I glanced at her. "Grant, if you want to come with me, I'll introduce you to my lawyer. You can see the evidence yourself." He nodded mutely, clearly devastated. Lucy seemed to shrink smaller into the armchair. I almost felt sorry for him. He'd married into this den of vipers, just like I had. Theo managed to stand, leaning on Willow. He tried to meet my eyes. "Colton, He had nothing left to say, nothing that could fix this. I turned my back on him. The assault, the adrenaline still pumping, had offered me a grim satisfaction. I had become something I never thought I could be, someone who sees betrayal and answers with brutality. I pointed at Aurora. "Don't bother calling me. Don't even attempt to manipulate Belle behind my back. You so much as speak her name in the wrong tone, and I'll have the police swarming your doorstep. Understood?" She swallowed, fear flickering in her gaze. "Yes." I turned to Willow, her tears now replaced by a hollow stare. "Pack your things from my house," I said quietly. "Stay with your mother or stay with him." I jerked my chin at Theo. "But you do not set foot in that house unless it's scheduled visitation or you come with an officer to retrieve your belongings. Consider your comfortable life done." Willow opened her mouth, then shut it. She was beaten, and she knew it. Within days, Miss Phillips filed an avalanche of paperwork, restraining orders, custody motions, lawsuits for fraud and theft. Lucy's husband worked with us, unveiling more hidden funds, more creative ways Aurora and Willow had stolen. The net closed in rapidly. Theo tried calling me once. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. "I know I messed up, but we can't let it end like this. We've been friends since—" I deleted it, never replying. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. News spread fast. Willow's mother, Aurora, ended up under investigation for orchestrating multiple financial schemes over the years, including forging other family members' signatures for lines of credit. Lucy's meltdown intensified when Grant froze their accounts, launching his own suits against her. Their lavish lifestyle collapsed. As for Theo, his wife Naomi found out. She'd suspected something but never guessed it would be me who uncovered it. She filed for divorce and took their 2 children. She also took a scorched earth approach, calling every mutual acquaintance and letting them know what Theo had done. Within a month, my quiet suburban world exploded into a swirl of legal depositions, property transfers, and, ironically enough, hush money. Willow, Lucy, and Aurora tried to offer me settlement deals. Miss Phillips refused them all, pressing for maximum damages. She told me I'd end up with more than I'd ever imagined, but money wasn't my primary concern. Belle was. I insisted on primary custody, citing Willow's proven record of manipulation and fraud. The family court judge, upon seeing the evidence, granted me sole custody pending review. Willow got supervised visitation, supervised because the court believed she might emotionally manipulate Belle or even abduct her. It was an extreme measure, but her betrayal went beyond finances. She'd plotted to use Belle as leverage in the divorce. That was enough to turn the tide in my favor. Weeks turned into months. I found a new house in a decent neighborhood. Less fancy, more honest. I painted Belle's room the color of her choice and signed her up for after-school art programs. I tried to give her as normal a life as possible. Willow tried to rebrand herself as a victim in front of the judge, claiming my violent outburst at Aurora's house proved I was an unfit father. But Miss Phillips systematically dismantled that argument with the evidence of Willow's affair, plus months of text messages in which Willow joked about intentionally provoking me to use it against me later. The court had little sympathy for Willow or her mother. Charges related to theft and fraud were still pending, and I was prepared to testify against them if it came down to it. One night, after a custody hearing, Willow confronted me in the courthouse hallway. Her mascara had run, her hair was unkempt, and she looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Colton," she said softly, "I'm sorry for everything. I know it might be too late, but I don't want to lose Belle. You have to understand, I never meant—" "Stop," I said, my voice cutting. "I'm not that gullible man anymore." She started crying. The old me would have consoled her, apologized for her tears, but I just stared, thinking of how she'd forced Belle to lie about me, how she'd planned to bleed our accounts, how she'd mocked me. "You set this in motion," I said coldly. "Deal with it." Then I walked away. Theo cornered me outside a local diner a week later. His face still bore a faint scar on the cheek where I'd struck him. He looked thinner, cheeks hollow, as if life had wrung him out. "Colton," he said, voice quavering, "I just want to say I'm sorry. I lost everything. Naomi, my kids, my job. I messed up. I was drunk or stupid or both. Willow needed someone, and I slammed the car door behind me, stepping closer until we were face to face. He flinched. "You took advantage," I hissed. "And you did it for months, not just one drunken night." He swallowed, shame rolling off him. "I can't take it back," he whispered. "But we were friends for so long. If you can find it in your heart to forgive—" I let out a harsh laugh. "I gave you my trust, Theo. You spit on it. You want my pity now that you've lost your family? I have none left to give." He nodded, tears brimming in his eyes. "Fair enough. I won't bother you again." Then, in a moment of final desperation, he touched my arm. I almost punched him again. "Please," he said. "If you see Naomi, can you tell her I'm sorry?" I shrugged him off. "That's your business. You want redemption? Earn it. But you won't get it from me." He left, shoulders hunched, a broken shell of the arrogant friend I once knew. Maybe somewhere beneath the hatred, I felt a flicker of sadness for what we'd been. Childhood buddies. Forever. But he'd crushed that bond, so I let him vanish from my life without another word. A few months later, the divorce was finalized. I was awarded the majority of our marital assets, including a lump sum from the sale of our old house, some of which had to be forcibly reclaimed through legal means. Willow faced criminal charges along with Lucy and Aurora. Plea bargains were in the works. Belle, meanwhile, was thriving. New school, new activities, a father who was present in every sense of the word.